Morning, friends. We're continuing Mishna Daf Hashavua Siman Kuf Chav Dalid Din Hanhaga Shliach Tzibur B'Yud Ches Habrachos V'Din Aniyas Amen. The halacha of the practice of the Shliach Tzibur in the 18 brachos and answering Amen. Says the Holy Mishna Berura, says the Mechaber, La'achar Shesimu HaTzibur Tfilasam Yachzor Shliach Tzibur HaTfilah. After the Tzibur finishes their Tfilah, the Shliach Tzibur should repeat the Tfilah. Shem yesh mi she'enu yodeh l'spalel. Why would the Chazan say over the Tfilah? Everyone davened already. In case there's someone who doesn't know how to daven, yechavin l'mashu. I'm Rabbi Yehuda, they could have kavanah to what he says, and be yotzei. The Bir Halacha brings that from the Magen Avram that if he says piyutim, he can't be moitzi someone who's not a baki. Why? Because it's impossible to listen to all the piyutim, and it's like a hefsek. So then, should the Chazan say Chazaras Hashatz when they're piyutim? Yeah. Because still people who are Einam B'kiyim will be listening, and he'll be able to be moitzi them. So that's interesting. That if they're piyutim, Chazaras Hashatz doesn't work, but he should do it anyway, because even though it doesn't work for most people, for someone there, it might be helpful for. Let's see. This is Siman Kuf Chaf Dalid, and the Dirshu note takes us to somewhere in the back. Oh no, in the next page. That, what does it mean it's a hefsek? That the Pri Megadim learns that the opinion of the Magen Avram is that it's very difficult for someone to listen because of all the piyutim. But if he does listen, he would be yotzei. It's not mamish a hefsek, it's just very hard to be attentive. Okay? Now, is Chazaras Hashatz only for an Einoi Baki? The Bir Halacha says that one who is Mesupik, if he davened Shachris on Shabbos or Musaf on Chol HaMoed, that we said earlier that he can't daven again because he can't daven in a dava, there is an Eitzah to be a Shliach Tzibur, and then he could repeat the Tfilah for the takana, and he could be yotzei misafek. In other words, when you're mesupik, if you daven in a situation where you can't daven a tfilas nedava, we once spoke about, let's say Friday afternoon, where you forgot yalav v'yavai, where the marav is not. So, if you are the chazan, that is an eitzah.
For marav, another blows the shots.
The Dirshu brings that when you daven as a Shliach Tzibur, the Mishna Berura wrote earlier, that you could be yotzei even tashlumin for the tefillah you're mechuyevin, not only a nadava. In other words, like this, let's say you completely missed the tefillah. Let's say you missed the tefillah. It's not just by that being a shatz, you could be mashlim a tfilas nadava that you're not able to do. You could even be mashlim a tefillah chiyuvis. Let's say you completely missed shach. Let's say you missed mincha, right? Let's say you missed mincha and you have to daven marav twice. Or for marav, like you said, it's not going to work. But if you miss shachris and you have to daven mincha twice, and you already daven mincha, you could daven another one as a Chazaras Hashatz. Okay. The Mechaber continues. She'im yesh mi she'enu yodeh l'spal yechavin l'mashu omer v'yotzeba v'tzarech oisoi she'yotze v'tfilah shliach tzibur l'chavin l'chol mashu omer shliach tzibur m'rosh v'yad Seif. Someone who's being yotzeh from the shliach tzibur has to have kavanah from beginning until end. Ve'enoi mafsik, he cannot interrupt. Ve'enoi ma'asech, he can't talk. Ufoisei shalosh psios la'acharav, and he takes 3 steps back. Adam shemispal la'atzmai, like any person who's davening themselves. This always troubled me. How in the world is this going to work? How in the world would someone be yotzei Chazaras Hashatz from a chazan? We all know that Berura V'am Hajas Melech. It's always better, let's say Friday night, it is better for one person to make Kiddush than everyone make Kiddush. There's no minhag for everyone to make Kiddush. One person makes Kiddush, everyone else listens. That's the halacha. That is preferable. It's preferable. So why don't we do that for Berchas HaMazon? So Mishnah Berurah says, Berchas HaMazon, it's too long for people to be attentive, to be yotzei. People are going to get distracted. So what's longer, Berchas HaMazon or Chazaras Hashatz? If we don't do Berurah, if we don't do Shemei Ka'ina for Berchas HaMazon, why in the world would we be able to do Shemei Ka'ina for Chazaras Hashatz? And the answer must be, we don't have an alternative. Because here we're talking about an Einoi Baki. We're talking about someone who doesn't know how to daven. He doesn't know how to daven, there's no choice. But if you know how to, there's a serious concern here. Because if your mind wanders, you're not really focused on what's being said, then the Chazaras Hashatz is sort of in vain. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah Sivkatanav she'eno yodea aval habaki eno yotzei afilu b'di'eved b'tfilas hashel tzibor. Someone who does know how to daven is not even yotzei b'di'eved with the tfilas hashel tzibor. V'afilu b'she'eno baki eno yotzei ki b'sheyesh asar b'veis hakneses. So two things. A guy who knows how to daven, he says, you know what, I'm really tired. I want to take it easy. I want to be yotzei with the shliach tzibor. No, it's not going to work. And even a eno baki, it only works if there is a minyan. Now, the Bir Halacha in Siman Samach Tesef Aleph, based on Tosis and Megillah of Gimel Mebeis, brings another reason for Chazaras Hashatz, and that is to say Kedusha B'tzibor. Says Aruch HaShulchan, according to this reason, there's another reason we have to say Chazaras Hashatz for Berchas Kayanim. Now, let's say a person missed Mara. By the way, there are other reasons for Chazaras Hashatz. The Gra is reputed to have said that the reason for Chazaras Hashatz is there's tfilah bit tzibor and tfilas hat tzibor. There's a tfilah that you say as an individual bit tzibor, then there is the tfilah of the tzibor, which then means Chazaras Hashatz is a higher level tfilah than even the Sh'tiller Shemone Esrei, which by the way means, just like if you don't collect tzedakah or give tzedakah during your private Shemone Esrei, you also do not collect tzedakah or give tzedakah during Chazaras Hashatz. You're not allowed to do that, for many reasons. The Mishnah Berurah says that. But the Arizal says, Al Pi Kabbalah, Chazaras Hashatz is the highest level of tefillah. It's the quiet Shemone Esrei, we're afraid is not so powerful, so we have to say it quietly so the chitzonim don't interfere. Chazaras Hashatz is more powerful, so we could say it out loud. Okay. Let's say a person did not daven Mariv and he wants to be yotzei tashlumin with Chazaras Hashatz of Shacharis. Does that work? Here the Mishnah Berurah is saying that Chazaras Hashatz does not work for a baki, but b'di'evet it would work. Why? Because Mariv is a reshus. Remember that? Since Mariv is a reshus, even though Chazaras Hashatz does not help for a baki, but it will help for Mariv as a tashlumin. Why? Because Mariv is a reshus, even though kfar kiblu alayu chayva, but legabe this detail that a baki could be yotzei his missing tefillah with Chazaras Hashatz, we will allow it for Mariv. That's what the Mishnah Berurah said in Siman Kuf Ches Sivkatan Hey. Now, Reb Chaim Kanievsky points out, the Mishnah Berurah says over here, that even in Einoi Baki you need a minyan. Why would you need a minyan? This is going according to the opinion of the Mechaber and Siman Tov Kuf Tzadi Aleph Sif Aleph, that someone who didn't daven, a person cannot be moitzi him unless you have a minyan. According to the Ramah, anyone could be moitzi someone else. Fine. Mishnah Berurah continues. Chazaras Hashatz only works for an Einoi Baki if you understand Hebrew. If you do understand Hebrew. If you're some guy off the street and you don't know an aleph from a beis and you want to be yotzei tefillah, Chazaras Hashatz helps nothing. It's meaningless. Aval hamispala ba'atzmai b'lashon hakodesh. But if you daven yourself in Hebrew, afilu meinu meven halashon, even though you don't know the lashon, yatsa. Now, at least you have to understand the avos the Mishnah Berurah is going to say. Va'ayin le'el siman kofab Mishnah Berurah da'akaban berchasavas yira lahavin ma'ashoimer va'ayin le'el siman samach bez Mishnah Berurah sivkat gimel. So that's very important. Don't, if a beginner comes into shul, the last thing you should tell him is that he should listen to Chazaras Hashatz. You should give him he should daven maybe in English. Better he daven in English than he daven. Much better that he daven in English than he listened to Chazaras Hashatz. Chazaras Hashatz does nothing for a guy who doesn't know Hebrew. So therefore, a typical person who doesn't know Hebrew should not be yotzei with Chazaras Hashatz. Fine. Ve'enoi mafsik.
Interesting situation. It's interesting. There's not a Boki, so he understands Lashon HaKodesh. He can't read.
Right. In other words, it's a unique status. We're talking about someone who knows Hebrew, he understands Lashon HaKodesh, but what? He can't get through the tefillah. Yeah. Not a very common situation to have someone like that in the shul. Which, by the way, in some yeshivas, let's say for Mincha, they have the Shemone Esrei. So many people think it's because of Bittul Torah. It has nothing to do with Bittul Torah. It has nothing to do with Bittul Torah. You could go to a coffee room, but you can't spend 2.5 extra minutes. It has nothing to do with Bittul Torah. It's the purpose of Chazaras Hashatz. They were masakin for Misha Enoi Baki. But in places of higher education, everyone's a Baki. So they weren't masakin Chazaras Hashatz for such a makayim. That's the logic of it. Again, al pi the Gra or al pi Kabbalah, it's still, you're missing out. You're missing out on Tfilas Hatzibur, you're missing out on Kabbalistically. But for that, you could say, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. You can't get around Takanas Chachamim. You could get around Inyanim. Inyanim are very easy to get around. As great as any Inyan is, Talmud Torah is infinitely greater. Okay. Okay, let's say you're middle of listening to the Chazan repeat Chazaras Hashatz, and you hear from a different Chazan, Kedusha or Baruch Hu. You don't interrupt. You do need to answer Amen to each bracha of the Shatz, that's shayach to the tefillah. Sif Beis. Shliach tzibur shenichnas lebeis haknesses. A shliach tzibur that entered a shul, matzah tzibur shespalu b'lachash, and he sees the people are davening the shto Shemone Esrei. V'utzarch lamed lefnei hatevel altar, and I guess he's the officially paid designated chazan, and he's going to have to right away daven the Chazaras Hashatz. Yor lefnei hatevel mitzvah v'karam latzibur ve'intzarch lachso l'spal b'lachash. Then let his public tefillah serve as his silent shmanes as well. Mishnah Berurah says the case is no one else kadam for the tzibur. The ilav hachi, otherwise, it's not right for him to daven b'koram. He didn't daven for himself. It's not right for him to be the chazan. Now, what's the reason he has to daven the tefillas lachash first? The Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, Kedei shetehei tefillah shgura b'fiv. Now, what if you daven a different nusach than the tzibur? The Minchas Yitzchak says, Rav Shlomo Zalman says, Rabbi Yosef says, Rav Vosner says, that in the tefillas lachash, you could daven in the tefillah that you're ragel in. Only in Chazaras Hashatz do you need to daven the nusach of the tzibur. Rav Vosner adds, provided that you know well the other nusach. And Reb Chaim Kanievsky said the Chafetz Chaim held that way. If I could stick in my 2 cents, there's no way you could get through it smoothly, pal. You've never been able to do it ever. You stumble off every single mehera you ever come to. So Reb Moshe says that even the tefillas lachash, you need to daven like the nusach of the tzibor. And that's my recommendation. Otherwise, you're not going to do it properly. You're not going to know the arucha, the mehera, the na. What?
Maybe the poskim in Eretz Israel feel that the Hebrew speakers are more confident at saying the meheras properly.
No, because the poskim in Eretz Yisrael, almost everyone davens Ashkenaz. But in Chutz La'aretz, where there are too many Sfard minyanim,
Lots of Sfard minyanim here as well.
another thing, there's so many different types of Ashkenaz. You have in Eretz Yisrael, you have Nusach Hagara, and you have, let's say, regular Nusach Ashkenaz. I have like this. I will give you a personal test, and then after that test, you'll go be following Rav Moshe, guaranteed. Even in Nusach Ashkenaz, first of all, you tell me which siddur you use, because many of the Nusach Ashkenaz siddurim, unbeknownst to you, have thrown in Nusach Sfard words into the tefillah. Do you say Rei v'anyenu or Rei na v'anyenu? You don't even know what you say. So, okay, Rav Moshe says that it should be, you should daven the nusach of the tzibor when you daven quietly. And in America, Rav Moshe was a Mard Asra. So, there you go. Sif katan hey, ve'ein tzarech, diyatzeba gam b'shval atzmai. Now, because you're yotzei for yourself as well. The ke'evan de lacher mo'motzi, since you're motzi others, atzma lekoshkin, certainly you're motzi yourself. Ein bezem mishum ketani amana. But when I daven myself, I'm not allowed to daven out loud. Now, here's a problem. If I didn't daven the silent Shemone Esrei, am I allowed to say Berchos Kayanim in my Chazaras Hashatz? So the Shevet HaLevi says you can. It's not a hefsek. However, Rav Shlomo Zalman says that a kohen who's a shatz and he didn't first say tefillah b'lachash, could be he can't make a bracha. Let's say somebody has yahrzeit and he comes late to the shul, and if you don't give him the amud for Chazaras Hashatz, he's not going to get the amud. So Rav Chaim says, give the guy the amud. Mishnah Berura continues. There's no problem of ketane amana oy mashmiya kol b'tzvaz given the alidei adchak oisaken. He's doing an alidei adchak kaso achronim emashtel tzibras bal kfar balachash. If the chazan ready daven quietly, then is daven loy l'spal Chazaras Hashatz b'shvel tzibor acher, and now he has the opportunity to say Chazaras Hashatz for a different tzibor. They call him from the next minyan. Hey, come be our chazan. He doesn't have to say the tefillah b'lachash again. Lo yispal b'lachash pam shneines. Shas hadchak. Okay, let's see the Rama. Haga. V'chein imhu shas hadchak. Kagoin shiur shiyav zman tefillah. Let's say it's a very late minyan. You're afraid there's man tefillah. Pas yuchal espal miyad b'kol ram. You could daven immediately b'kol ram. And the tzibur is mispalel imay, mila b'mila, b'lachash, until akel HaKadosh. Says the Mishnah Berura, shas hadchak, v'lo shas hadchak, eskima harbe me'achorim sh'lasas kem. If it's not a shas hadchak, you should not do this. Ki ikar t'kano yitzim medina l'spal metchila b'lachash, v'yachar kach b'kol ram. If it's not, so listen to this eitzah. The eitzah is not a hoicha Shemone Esrei. It's the Chazan says the Chazaras Hashatz quietly, out loud. Everyone says the first three brachos with him until Kedusha, and then they branch out. Therefore, the Shalshus Malami Lahoyel says that in those places that they regularly daven hoicha Shemone Esrei, it's not correct, because you're being mevatel minagav b'seinu b'yadeinu. But Rav Chaim, Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky defends this practice that Chazaras Hashatz was niskan for only batei knesiyos, but not for makayimos haTorah. Rav Aaron Kotler says that even for those places that they daven a hoicha Shemone Esrei, they should not do it on Chanukah, because of Alanisim. Okay, the Mishnah Berura continues. Sheyavar per shel yuchal ligmar shel tzibur kol shmona esrei brachos toch zman hatfila. Now this is a Mishnah Berura l'shitase, that you cannot finish. What does it mean? You're afraid the Zman Tefillah will pass? That means you will not finish the whole Chazaras Hashatz before Zman Tefillah. Bein b'shachar sheyichla Zman da'arba shois d'shovein lo yischar Tefillah b'zmana v'chanal b'sim peites uvein b'mincha d'yavar zmana legamri kein mashna m'prim agadim v'ayin b'ber halacha. By mincha also, you're afraid that the time will pass completely. In other words, you won't finish by the shkia. What if Shkia is coming, and if the Tzibur says Ashrei, you're not going to finish Shemone Esrei by Shkia, you skip Ashrei. Ashrei is not essential by Mincha, only by Shacharis. That's why if you come late to Mincha, and you're up to Soimech Hashem L'cha Anoiflim, and they start Shemone Esrei, you stop and you start Shemone Esrei immediately. You do not finish Ashrei to finish Ashrei before Shemone Esrei. It's not just much more important, that's why you came to Shul, to daven mincha with the tzibur. If you're now going to say the rest of Ashrei, you defeated the whole purpose of coming to Shul. The tzibur, we're just going to finish up here. The tzibur davens with him. If it's not so pressing, then you'll do a hoicha Shemone Esrei. Meaning if it's like a quasi shas hadchak, the tzibur will start the Shemone Esrei after Hokel HaKadosh. HaKadosh dahainu gam nusach habracha ladar vadar. That means the tzibur will say with the Hashatz even ladar vadar ad Hokel HaKadosh yomer im Hashatz mila b'mila. As we're going to see, that it's best in this situation that there's somebody designated, at least one person to answer Amen. Rabbi Say, have a great day. Bracha v'atzlacha. Kol tov.
Recording stop.